All right, guys. I just want you to find either a seat on your mat or find a seat on your block. Get a little bit of tunes in here. All right, so we're gonna start off and I just want you to just check in. So we're gonna bring the arms up. We're just gonna check in, see how that feels, get a nice little stretch. Maybe you wanna go side to side. What you will find with me is that my words are more a suggestion. So if you're like, oh, this feels amazing and I've moved on to a different pose, that's totally fine. You can rock where you're at, because this is more about you feeling good in your body than it is about you following me. So I just kind of check in, see how my arms feels, and then we're gonna, if you want, you can take your left hand to your left hip. You're gonna press your right hip out, still keeping good posture, and bring that right arm over to the other side and just find a nice stretch. And then switch sides at your will. So I go fingertips on the right, kick that left hip out, but keep good posture, and then bring it up and over. And you can go as slow as you want, as fast as you want. It just depends what your body's feeling like today. And then I'm gonna roll my shoulders. I can roll them up and back. I can roll them forward. I can swim one arm and then the other. Just kind of seeing and checking in with our body. And then I'm gonna bring it back to center. So when I wanna keep just nice posture. You don't wanna be to the point where you're like sitting so tall that you can't breathe, but you don't wanna be slouched. So from here, I'm just gonna go side to side with my neck. I might take my right hand to the opposite side and just find a nice little stretch in our neck. And then I'm gonna switch sides. And then bring it to center, and I'm gonna go chin to chest and take my hand to the back of my skull and just gently pull my chin to my chest. You feel the stretch in your upper back shoulder blades. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. And then I'm gonna come back to center, and then I'm gonna gaze up at the ceiling, because we're gonna get that neck all stretched out. This is the fun one that I think is really hilarious. You're gonna open your jaw. It doesn't look pretty, but that's okay. You kind of sound like Charlie Brown's mom. And you're gonna open your jaw and close your jaw. And you get that nice stretch. But you sound like wah, 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 wah. And that's all good. And then I might bring it back down, and I might roll it all the way around or halfway. Just to check in, get a little movement in there. Okay, then we're gonna bring our hands down anywhere on your lap. You can be palms up, you can be palms down, whatever is most comfortable to you. And I'm just gonna have a nice posture. If you want to close your eyes, you can. If you want to settle into your breath before you close your eyes, you can do that as well. So we just want to find a nice relaxed place. And I'm going to take a deep breath in through my nose. I'm going to exhale out through my mouth. And we're just going to take a few moments just to settle into our breath, just to notice our breath and notice where it's going. Is it staying in our chest? Are we allowing it to come down into our belly and allowing our belly to get big like a balloon all the way around? And just take these first few moments to notice our breath. Notice where it goes. Relax our face. Relax our shoulders down from our ears. And as you start to settle into your breath and settle into your environment, your space, I want you to imagine just a little ball of light about 10, 12 inches above your head. And we're going to take that light and we're going to bring that light all the way down to the crown of our head, all the way down to our spine. And when we get to our tailbone, we're going to send that 2 lights down through each leg. And they can cross at the ankles and then come all the way back up to the center and then all the way back up to the crown of your head. So what we're doing is bringing that light down just to check in on all those little points in our body. Kind of settle in. If you remember one of those games where you put a quarter in and you hold it and then it would shoot up and down those lights, that's kind of what I imagine sometimes. But what I do is I just check in and say, does that feel good? How does my body feel? And just follow that light up and down your body. And try to get your breath to go with it. So if it's going really, really fast, your breath might be going really fast. And we want to allow ourselves to get into that belly breathing. Allow ourselves to relax. And as we start to settle into our breath, let's check in with our mind a little bit. And just notice if you're thinking about all the different things, or if you're just allowing your mind to relax as much as you're starting to allow your body to. So deep breath in through your nose. Fill up your lungs. Exhale, send that breath down into your belly. Let your belly get big like a balloon. And just start to notice your body starts to relax a little bit more. Your sit bones start to press into the block or the mat. Your shoulders come down from your ears. And just settle into that stillness of your breath. The breath is just a really magical thing. It can go really fast and we can get ourselves all excited, or we can also have the control of being able to bring it down a little slower. And it can settle our whole body down, our mind down. So I love the fact that we breathe and we don't even have to think about breathing because it's something we automatically do, but yet we also have the power and the ability to control how our breath is moving if we want to. So find 5 more slow inhales and exhales. Try to make that exhale like a count or 2 longer than your inhale. And maybe you want to set an intention for your practice. You don't have to by any means. I always just try to find something that is meaningful to me, or maybe I just want my body to feel good. Maybe I want to shut my mind off a little bit. Maybe I just want to move. Whatever your intention is, just make it true to yourself. And by the end of class, we're going to feel super, super relaxed, but still able to get on with our day. So deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. And then find 2 more breaths. After that second breath, you can open your eyes. You can come off your block and just set it to your side. We're going to start off not doing crisscross because I don't want to have uneven hips. I'm going to take my right foot and put it in front of my left shin. So I want to have decent posture, so I'm not here yet. And I'm going to take my hands to my knees. And we're going to do a little seated cat-cow. So I'm going to press back and find that nice little cat pose where I'm getting that stretch in that upper back, and it feels really good. And then I'm gonna bring it back up to center and then use my hands against my knees and find a little cat pose. So if you feel low back pain here, just back off of it. And you can take this at your will. So if you're like, oh, this cat pose feels amazing and I wanna stay here more, you totally can. Think about relaxing your head and neck and not holding tension there. Might get a couple cracks and pops. Now we're gonna bring it back to center. And because my right foot is in front of me, I'm gonna take my left hand to the outside of my right knee, and I'm gonna hug my knee up and find a little stretch in my ankle. I'm gonna take my right hand on fingertips. I'm gonna lift up with my body and then just a gentle twist. We're not forcing past anywhere that we're not forcing ourselves. We're just going to the edge of where we can. And then I'm gonna release, I'm gonna counter stretch. So I'm gonna take that right hand to the outside of my knee, left knee, but I'm not lifting my knee up, and I'm just doing a little counter stretch, just thinking about keeping my spine nice and tall. And then I'm gonna switch back. So I'm gonna hug that knee up and in, take the right fingertips, lift up, gentle twist. You might see if you're gonna get a little further. And then you counter stretch. Our goal is like 2 or 3 times. I notice each time I get a little further and I get that nice little stretch in the ankle. So pressing through my right fingertips and then coming back. So for me, my first one is here, second one is here, the third one is there. So I just take it in stages and see what my body feels. So I'm gonna switch feet. I'm gonna switch and take that left foot in front of right shin. Same thing here. So we're gonna take our right hand to the outside of our left knee. Lift that knee up, fingertips of the left, lift your body up, gentle little twist. And then counter stretch where that right stays down. And bringing it at your pace. Twists are great to get our digestive system moving, but we also want to be gentle with it and we don't want to force it. And then bring it back to center. Let's cat-cow 1 or 2 times. Gently move your head and neck. If you're moving something that you've never moved before, or if you're never moved in that direction, just think about doing it slow first so you know how it feels. Now we're going to come forward into a tabletop. Now for me, because my cow pose is really weird and I just don't feel as much as I do if I use blocks, I'm gonna do a little cat pose here. And I'm gonna relax my head and neck because we tend not to do that when we're in cat pose. And then I'm gonna bring it down to cow. So we can go cow like normal, or I like to use blocks just simply because I can hyperextend a little bit. So for me to get a stretch, the blocks help. Now I like to bend my elbows, press all the way up into that nice scared cat, and then include my head and neck in that. And one might feel better than the other, and you can just rock you, because it's more about you feeling good than it is about you following exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And if you ever feel like, oh, I'm tired, just simply go into a child's pose. I'll never yell at you for that. Now we're gonna come back to center on a tabletop. And I like to go a little bit, I don't like to have my knees directly under my hips. I go a little wider between hip and shoulder. And then what I'm gonna do is take my left hand to the outside of my mat. I'm gonna make sure I'm keeping my ribs in and I'm not overarching my back, and I'm gonna press my hips over to the left so I get a nice stretch in my right inner thigh. And then what I'm gonna do is bring my hips over to my right, and I'm gonna roll my arm up the side of my body. I'm not gonna lift it up this way, I'm gonna roll it all the way up. And then I'm gonna thread it through. So I'm gonna thread it through back of hand, back of arm, back of shoulder, but we're gonna come in and out of this pose a couple times. Because rarely do we get into that pose the first time, the best time. So we roll it up and we inhale, and then we exhale and we thread it through like 2 or 3 times. And we're just trying to find that nice stretch in our T-spine. And on that second or third time, that's when you can place down the side of your head. You can stay with your left hand down, or you can bring that arm high to the sky, or you can bind it behind you. Just make sure your left shoulder isn't rotating towards the floor. Make it externally rotate. You can even reach for your right quad and open up. So whatever works best for you is where I want you to be. And some days it might be this way, and some days it might not be. It's just our body changes depending on what we're doing as well. So find 2 or 3 deep breaths here. And then release, and we'll bring it back to a tabletop. So I'm going to show you guys from this way so you can see how my arm goes too. So now I'm going to take my right hand to the outside of my mat. My hips are a little wider. I'm gonna bring hips over to the right. I get that stretch in that left inner thigh. Keeping my ribs in, I'm gonna go hips over to the left, and I'm gonna roll my arm up this way. It's less tension on your shoulders. And then I'm gonna thread it through. So back of hand, back of arm, back of shoulder, I find that nice little stretch in my T-spine. And then I bring it back up. And then thread it back through. So 2 or 3 times till you find that awesome, awesome position for your body and your stretch. And then we can place down the side of our head, grounding into the back of my palm, or my hand and my arm. And then my hand can either, right hand can stay, or I can bring it high, or I can bind it behind me and just externally rotate that shoulder using my fingertips against my low back sacrum, or reaching for that left quad. Now we're trying to settle our breathing down. It's really easy for it to get up into our chest. Deep breath in through your nose. And then release when you're ready. You'll bring it back to center, and you might cat-cow a couple times just to see how that feels. Now, we're gonna do the fun one, because my hamstrings are gonna be right there with you. So I'm gonna curl my toes, I'm gonna bring my hips up and back, I'm gonna find my down dog, and if you need to adjust that, Emma, just think about just coming up and then placing that foot down. Ooh, tight hamstrings. So, in your down dog, you walk it out. So I'm a huge fan of moving your body and not just staying in one position. So look at your wrists, see if you have a big crease, lift up your hands 1 at a time, not 2, or you're gonna face plant, and just bend your body and move, because the more we can move, the more we're gonna open those spaces. Now we don't want an overextension in our back, we wanna make sure we keep our ribs in, so we're kind of looking like a triangle. Now I'm gonna bend my knees. My gaze is gonna go towards my hands. I'm gonna step, hop, jump, float, hobble, whatever we gotta do today. And then I'm gonna come fingertips to shins, and I'm gonna lengthen up. So shoulders are back and down. Think straight leg deadlift. And you wanna keep those ribs in. That stretch wants to be in those hamstrings. Exhale and fold. Now, if we don't get to the ground, that's okay. That's where blocks are your best friend. There's so many times that I've used blocks just simply because then I can bend a leg and straighten a leg. And when we're here and we move our body, we can really start to open those hips and hamstrings up, more so than just being straight-legged. So just connect your breath to your movement. Let's throw this one in there too, because it's a good one. I'm gonna take one block and I'm gonna put it in the center. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this way actually. Go right here. Okay, so we're gonna put it right here. My feet are about hip width apart. I'm gonna place my right fingertips on the block. I'm gonna bend my right leg deeply. I'm gonna straighten my left leg and watch my arm. I'm gonna roll my arm up so they're almost like airplane wings. And I'm getting a stretch in my hip. I can bind this behind me if I want and open the shoulder, or I can stay wherever I want. Now I'm gonna bend my left knee, bring my left hand down, place my left hand on the block so both my knees are slightly bent, and then I'm gonna straighten my right leg and roll my right arm up. So this is where you can bind it behind you. You can kind of make it your own. Depends how your body feels. You can go slow, you can go fast. But what you want to remember is the leg that is straight is the same side as the arm that goes up. And the leg that is bent is the opposite. And you're just finding a nice stretch. Nice. Bring it back to center. Fingertips to shins again one more time. Lengthen up. Find that stretch in those hamstrings. Exhale and fold. Use that block if you need it. Bend your knees if you need to. Alternate bending your knees. Then bend both your knees. Ground into the floor. Roll yourself all the way up to standing. When we get here, think gentle little squeeze of that glute so it brings that pelvis in line. And then arms can come all the way up. And this is like yogi free for all up here. You can go wherever it feels good to you. One of my favorites is just, I like to roll it all around. Check in, see how things feel. Nice. Top of your mat. Arms come up. Exhale, we're going to fold it down. So bend and move as much or as little as you need. As we get going, I don't bend as much, but this helps to just open up those hips. And then legs are going to come straight. Fingertips to shins, we're going to lengthen up. Find that stretch in those hamstrings. Make a line from the crown of your head to the tip of your tail, and the tip of your tail down into the floor. Now I'm going to plant my hands down. I'm going to step back. I'm going to hop back. I'm going to jump back. If you need to be off that toe, you can. And then bring it all the way to the floor. So this is a fun one. So I want you to think you got low back stuff. You're going to go Sphinx pose where you're going to press through those forearms. But I don't want you to lead with your back. I want you to keep your ribs in and up and press through your arms and find that Sphinx pose. Now you could be here. You could have your arms back further, pressing through your hands, ribs in, and come all the way up to baby cobra or a full-on up dog. But you want to think about not rounding the shoulders and bringing them back and finding length down through your legs. Nice. Now, we're going to meet. So if I'm here, I'm going to come down, curl my toes, and come back up to down dog and walk it out. So that means I might pick up my hands. That means I'm going to bend my legs. I want to open those legs up, get some movement. Ooh, I might have to shut that. Now, you're going to get your right foot to your hands any which way. Woo, I got to fix that. Any which way you can. And you can watch me if you want because I use physics. So I come forward into what I call bear crawl, and then I lengthen that leg high to the sky. I step my hands back to get a little bit more into that left foot. I come up on the tippy toe of the left and bring that right knee in and up to my chest to my hands. Now, if you don't make it, that's fine. You just help that foot up. I usually have my blocks, and then I'm going to come down on that back knee and relax that back foot. So what I want you to think about here is having just a slight angle, just very slight with that front right shin. You might know this, Emma, by like Samson stretch is what I want you to think. So the reason I have blocks is because if I'm down here, I'm not going to get in the best form. But if I have blocks, what I can do now is press and find this nice line. So what I'm doing here, slight shin or slight angle in my shin, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to press and line up my right knee to my right heel and find an isolated stretch right in this left hip flexor. Woo, feeling that? Thumbs up if you're feeling that. Oh yeah. So from here, we're just going to take a moment to breathe, but I have this nice line that comes up. And I'm just gently pressing forward and also using my big toe, pinky toe of my right foot to really ground in. So deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out to your mouth. One more deep breath in. Exhale. Now I'm going to hinge back my left hip. I'm going to keep my right heel where it's at, but I'm going to come up off my toes. So I'm going to hinge back, and we're going to come back, and you're going to, hello, hamstring. Oh my goodness. So right here, I'm finding that opposing stretch, but I'm not going to overextend my back, which is why I use my blocks. And we're going to take a moment here to breathe. Deep breath in, and I don't hold poses for a long period of time. So, and you're not sliding back on the heel, so the heel stays planted. So we're just doing a little hinge movement here in a minute. Where now I'm going to come back forward. So I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to come back forward, and I'm going to find this exact same position here. Line up my right knee with my right heel. Isolate this stretch here. Blocks can be here. And now it's a little bit more free play. So you might have one that is like, whoo, those hamstrings. I need to find those hamstrings. And we're not forcing past it. We're just trying to find the edge of that stretch. So you're coming forward and back at your will. And just connecting your breath to it. So try not when we come back to slide that foot back. We just want to keep that really good position. And slow connect our breath to it. You guys are staying there for 1 second. Back and forth. I gotta fix this. So we don't have more things falling. Now I'm going to show you this from the front because this is a really, really good one, and it is also a mobility drill. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk your foot to the edge of your mat. So I'm in a different way. So just edge of your mat. You're going to come up, and if you need a little bit, because I want you to think about not being a box. I want you to think about being more of a plank. So I came off my back knee, and then I lowered it down. So if I was sideways, I'd look like this. This position right here is what I'm going for, okay? So from here, so we have that nice stretch in our hip. We are not pushing out our right foot yet, and we're not pushing out our right knee. I'm going to take my right arm at 90 degrees and the inside of my knee. I'm going to take a deep breath. This is a slow one. I'm going to exhale, and I'm going to lower, and I might not get to the floor. Don't push your knee out. Yep, we're not pushing the knee out. So you might want to go a little wider with your foot. Yep. So if you look here, what I'm doing is inhale, exhale. Inhale comes back up. Exhale comes back down. Now, if you do not get to the floor, it's totally fine. Over time, you will. And you will probably notice on your left side is going to be way different than your right. So I'm just deep breath in, exhale. And usually when I get to the floor is when I decide, do I want to open this hip more? So I'm going to walk my foot in about 1 or 2 steps, and then I'm going to ride the outer arch of my foot. So this is where I can open up here. This is where you'll see people take blocks or be here and be something like this, right? Now, if you feel like your low back, I'm going to show you this from the side. If you feel like your low back is like you're not in the best position. So a lot of us can be here. If you feel like this is going, you're gonna take this block and you're gonna shove it right there. And that helps to keep that hip up, so now I can get down here a little bit more, and it's a little bit more supportive to myself, and I can open up. So you can really be wherever you want. Sometimes I like to do just a little twist where I'm finding length here and twisting to the side. But this is where we can play with those kind of things and decide what feels best for our body. Or I just might be right here. So deep breath in through your nose, exhale out through your mouth. Just find a nice little stretch. Get your breathing down into your belly. And find 3 more breaths in this pose. Now after that third, you're gonna rise yourself back up. You're gonna hinge back your hip and find a stretch again in that hamstring like we did before. Hopefully it's not as bad. Ooh, mine's a little better. And then I'm gonna bring my right leg behind me. I might hip circle my right. I might hip circle my left. One of my favorites is I like to hug my knee in and round my back. And then I bring my leg back. I keep my ribs from punching forward, and I find a nice stretch here. So it just is kind of playing around and seeing what feels good to you. Now, we're gonna do what I love, what I call the little 45 degree. I got no special name for this, but it's a good one. So I'm gonna take my right leg, and I'm gonna bring it up about 45 with my toes up. Now my back leg, I'll go this way. So my back leg toes, if you can. If you can't because your toes, that's fine. I usually stabilize with my toes, but Emma, if your toe is bugging you, then you can leave it down. Now, what I'm gonna do is I have my block here, because we're gonna, oh, one other thing I didn't point out to you. So I want you to make sure when you're here, look down at your left knee. Is it directly straight underneath your hip? If it is, I want you to move it out between hip and shoulder, okay? So it's a little wider, and that's so you have room to move. So if you can stabilize with those back left toes, you can. Now I'm right here. What I'm gonna do is take a deep breath. On my exhale, I'm gonna push my left hip back towards my heel, and I'm gonna find that stretch, right here. Now, don't hold your breath. And think about just finding the edge of that stretch, and then you're gonna inhale, come out of it. And then exhale, bring it back. And you connect your breath to this movement. And hopefully you can get a little further and a little further into that hamstring of the right. I'll show you this from the side as well so you can see how my back is. But if the knee of the left isn't out wider, then you don't quite get into that right hamstring as much as you want to. And you're just connecting your breath to your movement, and you're getting a little further and a little further. Now we're going to set our block to the side. We're going to bring our leg back. We might hip circle it. We might hug that knee in and bring it back. And then we're gonna find our down dog. So I'm gonna curl my toes, I'm gonna bring my hips up and back, I'm gonna walk it out. I wanna think about pressing my hips back towards the back of the room, but keeping my ribs in and feeling that in my hamstrings. You might notice a difference right now on your right and your left. Now bend your knees, look at your hands. Step, hop, jump, float. Fingertips to shins like a straight leg deadlift. Ooh, difference in my right and left. Notice those hamstrings. Now exhale and fold. Notice your right from your left. Do you feel like you're falling in the ground and to the right? Your left's like, what is going on? I hope so. That's always the goal. You can always keep bending. You don't need to have straight legs here. Now bend both your knees, ground your feet into the floor, roll yourself all the way to standing. Gentle little squeeze at those glutes, bring those arms up, go where you want to go. Now we got to do that to the other side so our body matches. Goal is to get those hamstrings to feel a little better. We're going to make Emma feel better today. All right, so we're gonna exhale and fold it back down. So you gotta do the left side. So exhale, fold, bend as much or as little as you need. Notice the difference in the right and left legs. And then legs come straight, fingertips to shins. We're gonna lengthen up. So keep those ribs in, shoulders back and down, gazes to the floor. And then we'll plant our hands. We'll step back, we'll hop back, we'll jump back, whatever works. High to low. You got Sphinx pose, but press through your forearms. Keep those ribs in and up. Or you got baby cobra. Or you got a full-on up dog. You just want to think about keeping the ribs in and up so you aren't cranking your back and compressing your back. I don't come up off my pelvis because it's just not comfortable for me. But I'm pressing through my hands and finding length down my legs. Then we'll meet in down dog. Walk it out as much or as little as you need. Press through the palms of your hands and press those hips back to the back of the room. Now goal is left foot to your hands any which way you want, or you can come forward into bear crawl. Lengthen the leg high to the sky. Step your hands back to get that right heel down. Come up on the tippy toe of the right. Left comes in and up to your chest, to your hands. If you don't make it all the way, you just help it. I'm going to make sure my feet are train tracked. I'm going to lower down on my back knee, right knee, and relax my back foot. So same thing here. I want to go and find this good position. So I don't want to be all the way down here. I want to find this. Slight angle on my left shin. So tall spine. And when I'm ready, I'm going to exhale and I'm going to line up my left knee with my left heel. I'm going to isolate that stretch. Ooh, in that right hip flexor. We're going to breathe for a minute. So we're going to take a deep breath in. Exhale. Now when you're ready, you're going to hinge back your hip. You're going to keep your left heel planted. Whoo, high hamstring. Whoo. I don't think I'm alone in that one. So we're going to breathe through that. Oh, you can make all the noises in my classes. So we're just finding a breath. We're breathing. Keeping our ribs in, using that block if we need so we can isolate the stretch instead of compensating by trying to get to the floor. Now when you're ready, this is where we're going to move. So I'm going to come back forward. I'm going to find this amazing stretch, not push my ribs out, and isolate that stretch where I need to. And that's the wonderful thing about blocks. If you got longer arms, which I don't, you can put blocks many ways. And now is where we can just go back and forth and connect our breath to it. So we're not sliding that heel back, the heel stays in place. And this is where it's up to you. Everybody's body is different. Everybody does different things. So we all hurt in different places. So our movement is not necessarily going to look the same when we're doing yoga as well. And yoga is more about you and your body and your breathing and how it feels, because you want to feel good at the end of class. It's not like you got into a couple poses and then you were like, I couldn't keep up. So as we start to open up a little bit, Okay, we're gonna bring that leg back behind us. I'm gonna hip circle, or no, my bad. Just kidding. Bring that leg back up. My bad. Walk that foot to the edge of your mat. So this is where I want to lift up first and make sure that I have a good stretch. And then my knee comes down and then I'm relaxing the back foot. So I'm not pushing off the left knee. I'm not riding the outer arch of my left foot. I'm going 90 with my elbow. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna exhale and lower down. So my left side, I can go straight to the floor. My right side, no, not happening. Yep, exactly. So inhale and then exhale, we lower. And if we can't get to one side, just know that the more you do this, you will get there. I've had many guys not be able to get there in class, many my fibers not be able to get there, and now they can get there. So if you're like, ooh, I'm up and down, that feels good to me. And I can then, if I want to, I can walk my foot in, ride the outer arch of that left foot and open that hip up. I can have a block. If I feel like my low back is losing it a little bit, I can take that block and shove that block under my right quad. That way it just keeps it a little more supported. Now I like to do a little gentle twist, but I find length up and then I find a gentle twist, and that's complete. These are all optional. These are just finding something that feels good to you. And this is how I did a lot of learning what feels good for my body. Because a lot of times in yoga, what we do is we go straight into a pose. We don't experiment with it because we just follow what the teacher's doing. So explore what feels good to you, because that's really what's important. So deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Find 3 more breaths here. And then we'll rise up. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna find that stretch in the hamstring and just check in, and that feels way different than it did a little bit ago. And then what we're gonna do is bring that leg back. If I wanna hip circle it, I can. If I wanna hug it in, I can. And then we're gonna go at that 45 degrees. So I'm gonna bring up my left on my heel. And then I wanna look down at my right knee. If it's directly underneath me, I wanna bring that out between hip and shoulder. I like to stabilize with those back toes, but if you need to, you can have them down. I'm keeping my ribs in here because my stretch is gonna be in that left inner thigh. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna exhale, I'm gonna push my right hip towards my, right hip towards my right heel. Ooh, hello, hamstring. Or no, inner left thigh. And notice your face. If your face is like, oh, that's so tight, come out of that pose. Exhale, bring it back. Keep the ribs in, don't overarch the back. Make sure you can breathe. So there's no right or wrong of how long you stay in this position. You just think about trying to, each time you come back, exhale, relax your face, relax your body, and find the edge of that stretch. And the goal is to try to get a little further and a little further back. Now we're gonna bring that leg back, put our blocks to the side. You can cat-cow, you can hip circle. And then we'll meet up in down dog. So walk it out, see how it feels, press those hips back. Maybe we're touching our heels a little closer. And then bend your knees, look at your hands. Step, hop, jump, float. Fingertips to shins, lengthen up. Hopefully we find some space in those hamstrings. Oh, mine feel lots better. Find some room between your shoulders and your ears. And then exhale and fold and see where we're at. Maybe we're coming to the ground. Maybe we're grabbing the back of our calves now. One of my favorites is I like to place my step on my hands and then bring my shoulders back and down, but be mindful of overarching my low back. And I just get a nice stretch in those calves as well. Release your hands if they're under your feet, bend your knees, roll yourself all the way to standing, gentle little squeeze, go where you want to go. Ooh. Okay, let's do, check in, see how that feels. My hips feel better. Okay, so we're gonna do one and then we're gonna really see that your hips are still probably tight, but it's a different way than most people do a lunge, like a high lunge. So you won't normally usually see this, right? Kills my back to do that. So what happens as we get older. So this is the only pose I start on my left foot. And you can watch me first if you want. So I want you to think about taking back that left foot, and if you need to adjust this, Emma, you can. So when we're here, what happens is we come up like this, and then we kind of just overarch that back. So what I'm gonna do here, because if my pelvis was a bucket right now, my pelvis would look like this and all my water would be falling out. So how do I fix that? I bend my back knee, I squeeze my butt. So if I have to put my hands here, and this quad will fire. I'm gonna lengthen up, and then I'm gonna send my heel back, but I'm not gonna touch the heel to the floor. And you get this deep, deep stretch here. So if you don't quite feel that, how you get out of this is you go just like this. You step back, and I'm gonna bend my knee, squeeze my butt. This fires. Lift up, heel goes back but does not touch. That becomes a different pose. Now, if you can maintain your pelvis here, you can bring the arms up. You can shimmy your toes and get a little lower if you want. Whatever works for you. Now, if at any point in time you need to come out of this pose, you just bend that back knee and then break that and then step out of it and then hip circle. It's a little bit more intense way to get into those hips. Nice. So bend the back knee and then step out of it. Woo, shake it out. Thumbs up if you're like, ooh, felt that deep stretch. Oh yeah, she felt it. You're like, whoa. So now I'm gonna step back with my right. Same thing. I'm gonna step back. I'm not gonna be on the heel if I can. I'm gonna bend the back knee, squeeze my glute, and then I'm gonna lengthen up and then send that heel back, but don't touch it. Now, if you wanted to get deeper into this, you could. You can shimmy toes, but you should have this deep stretch right here. Let's keep your pelvis. Bring the arms up. If you can't keep your pelvis and you're arching, then just think about bringing the hands down. They don't have to be there. And then whenever you're ready, instead of popping out of it, you just think about bending the knee, stepping forward, and then shaking it out. Ooh, hopefully we're feeling a little better. Okay. All right, so let's do a balance pose, because I love balance. She's probably telling me she had to go somewhere. Yeah, she had a client show up. Okay, so we're gonna do a balance pose. We're not gonna do handstands or anything crazy today, though that's one of my favorite things to do. Let's do your hips feel open? Yes? Thumbs up, yes, hips feel a little open? Okay, all right, so we're gonna do tree pose, just because it's a great pose to do. And if your hips are open, it feels better. But I'm a bit of a stickler on balance. So you can pick either leg, doesn't matter. But I want you to think about grounding in your big toe, your pinky toe, and the center of your heel, and then evenly putting your weight across that whole foot. Now, I'm gonna own this first. So I'm gonna flex my toe up. I'm gonna squeeze my right glute. Yep. Now I'm gonna try to reach my hand for my ankle. You wanna be above your knee or below it, not on it. So I'm gonna place my left foot in the inner thigh, squeeze my glute, use my foot against the inner thigh, big toe, pinky toe, center of your heel, ground into the floor. Yes, arms can be wherever they go because trees move all over the place, right? There could be a breeze. It's rainy here today, or was. And I just want you to think, squeezing that glute and pressing that left foot into that inner thigh and grounding into those feet, your balance will be there. And it's, you want to breathe. Balance on, or gaze at something that's not moving. Ooh, and the goal is to come out of this the exact way you got into it. So you grab your ankle, you bring it back forward, you bring it back down. Ooh, that'll light this puppy up real quick. Shake it out. So I'm a little bit of a stickler on balance because I watch people do this. And that I don't see the point of what you're doing there, right? We want to just think about being in the best possible form that we can. So we're gonna do the same thing, but other foot. So I'm gonna think big toe, pinky toe, center of my heel, evenly get that weight there. And then I'm gonna squeeze my left glute, bring up my right foot, and find this first, find this balance. Once you find it, grab the ankle. Place that right foot in the inner left thigh, press it against each other. Use the resistance of the two, squeeze your glute, ground into that standing foot. And then your hands can go where you want. Think about big toe, pinky toe, center of your heel. Totally fine if you fall out of it. So our balance tends to be really good on one side and a little challenging on the other, and that's okay. But think about squeezing that glute, big toe, big toe, big toe, big toe, if you feel like you're rocking on part of your foot. But that's why I love tree pose, because it can totally move. It doesn't have to be in one position. Now, when you are ready is when you come out of this pose and you grab your ankle, you bring it back down. Ooh, ooh. That's what happens to me. I kind of sneak in a little glute work in there whenever we do tree pose, but that was really good balance. So hopefully our legs feel a little better. Now, before we go into Shavasana, because I absolutely love pigeon pose, if you got low back stuff and you need to go on your back, you can. I'm not going to make you work to get into pigeon, but what we're looking for is just bringing our right foot towards our right ankle. So if you can come here, amazing. This is what I love. So I do a couple things before I fall forward. I come on my fingertips and then I lengthen up and just find a nice little stretch, completely your choice. These are all optional. And then I'll come down and sometimes I'll walk to one side and find a stretch, just depends how I feel. And sometimes I'll walk to the other. But then I want to bring myself down and I can use a block if I need to. I want to stay off the shoulders. So many times we get in an awesome pigeon and then we do this. And so I'm going to think about, can I relax my shoulders? And we're just going to find a deep breath in through our nose. Exhale out through your mouth. And just simply take a few moments to just breathe and settle in to this pose. And it doesn't have to look perfect. Just make sure your front right foot, your toes aren't flexed, and just kind of have them almost like they're in a high heel, but just everything, the whole shin and toes are in a nice, just a nice line. And then I want you to find 5 slow inhales and exhales. After you found 5, you're gonna slowly rise yourself up. You might take a little stretch. And then I'm just gonna come back to down dog and switch sides. And we're just gonna bring that left knee towards our left wrist. We're gonna slide it back. Do any of the things that feel good to our body, whether that's walking side to side. And then just finally settling into what feels best for you. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. And then find 5 more slow inhales and exhales. And on that 5th one, you'll just start to rise yourself up. If you need a little mini back bend, you can take it. And then bring it back just to a tabletop. You cat-cow once or twice. Find a little child's pose if that feels good. Move those hips around and see how those hips feel. Hopefully those hips are a little more open than they were just a little bit ago. So you're gonna walk your hands up. You can sit back on your heels for a second, and we're gonna come into Shavasana. So I know you've never done Shavasana with me. I know you've done yoga though. So you can prop yourself up any way you want to. What I tell people all the time, because this used to be the hardest pose for me, and this is the best pose, and this is, in my opinion, where all the work you just did and all the breath work that you just did connecting to your body, now I just want you to just let it all out, right, and go. What I see a lot is people do this, and they're here. I know you're in a small place, but take up as much space as you want, right? Because we want to be comfortable. So you are going to find a comfortable place. I'm going to walk you through just a little mini body scan because I'm the girl that gets in my head a lot. So I'm like, ooh, dogs, ooh, food, ooh, all the things, right? So what I do, and this is the one part of my yoga class in 7 years I haven't changed, is I walk you through just a body scan where you could be like, oh yeah, dog, and I'm going, hey, feet, hey, this. And so you're gonna just, it's all gonna come together and it's gonna be amazing. So I want you to just find an amazing spot for you, and I'm gonna walk you right through this. So, awesome. Okay. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out to your mouth. And just allow yourself to settle into the earth, settle into your mat. Give yourself this time to just simply relax, release, and seal in your practice. So start to relax your feet, your toes, the soles of your feet. Relax and release your ankles. The front, back, sides of your shins. Even let your kneecaps just sink down a little deeper to your mat. Really letting the weight of your legs and your feet start to settle against the back of your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Release your thigh bones into the back of your legs. And allow your legs and your feet to be fully supported by the earth that's underneath you. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Release that grip, that tightness that we hold in our pelvis, and notice how much more open, relaxed, released your hips, low back, belly are. Soften your belly. Relax the front, back, sides of your ribs. And just notice the rise and fall of your breath. How much more relaxed and released, and how much easier it is to breathe into your belly. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Soften your skin over your heart. And allow yourself to be open to giving love, receiving love, and seeing all the love around you and inside of you. Release your hands. Relax your fingers. Allow your fingertips to naturally just curl towards the palms. Settle into your forearms, elbows, upper arms. Soften your shoulders down from your ears. Release your jaw. Relax your throat. Allow your tongue to rest naturally on the roof of your mouth. And let those little lines we get in our forehead, let those lines relax. Let all the thoughts, the worries, the fears, the to-dos, all of the things that we keep up in there, let all of those things go. Feel the weight of your body settling in the back of your body. And feel your body expand. Feel the front and the sides of your body expanding into the air around you. And allow yourself to take up space. Enjoy that spaciousness that you created inside and all around you. And feel that connection you have to yourself, to the earth, and to other people. So breathe in, love for yourself, and breathe out, love and kindness for others. So take a deep breath all the way down into the belly. And just let everything go. Deep breath in with your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers, your toes. With your eyes closed, you can turn to your right or your left side, either choice. Just curl up in the fetal position, take a moment or two just to find your breath again. And then using the arm you're not using as a pillow, you can use it to push yourself all the way back up to a seated position. Take a deep breath. Bring our hands to heart center. And as I end every single class that I teach, the light and teacher in me honors the light and teacher in each and every one of you. Namaste. And have a beautiful day. Hold on. Let me unrecord. You can unmute yourself now. You can